She's a good Molly. Yes, she likes her ears rubbed. Hi everybody, it's time to do the tour of the Desert Cottage Gardens for June 2019. Let's see the changes. First, you'll notice some new poles. These are, I just got them put up to become trellises. They're not finished. I still have the rungs to go all the way to the top there. I'll be working on that in the next few weeks. The goal is to plant some climbing roses in front of those so that they'll grow to the top and help protect that wall from the heat. I didn't want it to grow attached to the wall, so that's why they're angled out sideways so that the plants grow away from the wall instead of into the wall. Our little bushes are doing well. Those, I had to add some bracing down here at the bottom for the trellises, so I just have to clean that up, a little bit of stain. The little bottles that I had buried are really helping these bushes a lot. They are really helping conserve water, and since we live in the desert, that's a good thing. This rose is not as fabulous as it was last month, but it's because of those really bad windstorms that we had. It really blew it around and we lost a lot of flowers off of it. But it's starting over. It never gives up. And we've got some new buds going on. The Russian sage. Look how tall it's gotten. So this is just the second year that it's been in. So it's growing really well. And as you can see, it's starting to bloom. Just little tiny purple blooms. When it gets nice and full, I'll share with you. And our rose over here is not blooming right now either because the wind really beat it up, but it's working on some new stuff. This rose over here, the little one, did bloom. It's a little beat up, but it's doing good. And look how big our sunflowers have gotten. And the other little, I think they're kind of a flowering sage. I can't remember, but they're getting tall, the sunflowers, and little boob tree still doing good. The rosemary is doing great now. There's a little problem with it. I'll show you. Let's see right here, right there. See, there's a little white gooey substance right there. That's from a bug. So from what I can read about it, is you just have to keep spraying it off. So that's what I've been doing. Our little bushes are still doing great in their little pots. Our new trees doing really well. And our desert willow tree's doing great. Look how beautiful it's looking. And it's got buds on it. Right here, there's some buds. So it'll be flowering pretty soon. When it flowers, I'll put out pictures for it. This tree's doing well. Now, let's go down to the base where the turf was. So I got this turf pulled off. Actually, my husband had to help me pull it off. The thing was heavy. And underneath it is this compacted, loose, gravelly stuff right here. And so it's a couple inches thick. So I've been digging that up. And in here I've been putting in mushroom compost to help it. And then the loose top stuff I've been putting up against the sides of the river thing, which is really handy because underneath this fake river is still the turf. And so by putting this loose rock along the edges of it, you don't see the turf anymore. I planted a lilac bush and some grasses here and here. And then down at the very bottom, the utilities are not down here. So I've got another one in here. The utilities run down the middle. So I still have a section of turf here to take out, but it's, it's hard, so I do it a little at a time. But it's really great having this loose material that's just free. I love that everything I've put into this particular area was already here except for the plants. And up here on this side, I got another section pulled out and planted a Spanish broom. And they smell fabulous when they're blooming. And this is very small. They get huge. They get as big as 10 feet wide, 10 feet tall. So I look forward to that really filling in. Let's swing around, take a peek. We've got some weeding we need to do. But the rosemary's growing well. So is the Russian sage, the little one. Not much going on in here, so I think I'm gonna have to give up on the poppies. There's some little tiny growth here, so they might still come up, but I'm not sure. So sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. Let's take a look at our mess on the roof. There is our mess on the roof. So that's the damage that was done the other day. We'll have to get that fixed soon. We've had a roofer over. We're waiting for the insurance adjuster to come soon. Let's see, I've got some poles here on the ground. Oops, sorry. Those are gonna go as trellises over there where the sunflowers are growing. I wanted to talk a little bit about the desert aspect of growing things. So roses, there's a lot of roses in my gardens, and that's because they love living here. They love the dry air. They don't get as many diseases as they would in other places because it is so dry. But you do have to water them. They're not something that can just survive on whatever rain comes along, so you do have to water them regularly, but not a lot. Since I've started doing all this planting, my water bill went up by $5-10 in the summer, and in the winter it's the same, so it's still low. So I really don't water that much, but you do have to here in the desert. These Russian sage, when you're starting them, need watered, but once they're established like this, then I do still water them because I baby things, but just once a week, and next year it'll probably go to once every 2 weeks. But they really do really well in the dry. The little bitty, let's see, we've got a little bitty Mexican feathergrass here. A fun thing about Mexican feathergrass is they self-propagate, so their seeds, when they get real tall, the seeds on the tops get loose, and then they blow away, and they just grow lots of places. So every time they grow somewhere I don't really want them to, I pull them up or dig them up and transplant them somewhere else, and they grow really well. And the same thing, while they're being established, they need a little water, not a lot. And then once they're established, just a little bit, every once in a while, same thing. Sunflowers do really well here because they like the dry air and they like the heavy sun. So in fact, these are doing much better than the ones in the back that I planted around the trees, and that's because they are getting so much sun. But you can see some leaf damage here right on there, and that's from the hail the other day. And there's a few more holes down there. That's so sad. But anyway, they do really well, and they don't need a lot of water. But again, everything has to be watered when you're in the desert. Same with the rosemary bush. These things get massive, and they are a fantastic herb. They love the heat. They love the dry. So I love putting them in. That's why I put them everywhere, and they're an evergreen. The desert willow tree, I think I've talked about before, is amazing. While it's being established, it needs some water, and then it gets to the point where you don't have to water it at all. It needs a very little bit. So if you get a few rains a year, that's all it needs. But I do baby them a little bit. I don't think I'll ever give up watering them a little bit. And same with these grasses. They don't need much attention once they're established. The Spanish broom is a native plant. Same thing. Doesn't need hardly anything. But after it's established, at the beginning of its life, you do need to water regularly. The lilac is a drought-tolerant bush, and they love living here as well. And so, same thing. You start them out, give them a little water, keep them going, and then once they're established, they're nice and strong. So there's some of the desert things that grow really well, and they look beautiful, and you can just fill your yard with it, and it looks lush and green, of course, compared to around here, not other places. But and they're really healthy and they are happy and they don't need a lot of love. And I just planted a little garden sage right there. I'm super allergic to it, but we like to have it, so I have it out front instead of in my backyard. I find I'm allergic to sages. The Russian sage, it doesn't seem to bother me, but desert sage and garden sage are tough. But they grow really well, so I like to grow them. And thank you for stopping by at our desert cottage garden. I hope you enjoyed the tour, and we'll see you next time. Bye.